In the heart of Tokyo, among the bright lights of Shibuya and the steel towers of Ginza, a quiet yet striking fashion statement has echoed through the decades, one that speaks of youth, identity, change. The question we'll explore together today is simple. Why do Japanese girls wear short skirts? It's a question that, on the surface, might seem trivial or purely aesthetic. But scratch beneath the hemline, and you'll find threads of history, culture, economy, rebellion, and personal expression all woven together. This is a story not just of skirt length, but of modern Japan itself. Chapter 1. Setting the Scene. Japan in Transition. In the years following the devastation of the Second World War, Japan was a country rebuilding itself from the ground up. The early post-war years were a time of strict regulation, both economically and socially. But by the 1970s, Japan was beginning to experience a profound transformation, driven by rapid economic growth and urbanization. This shift wasn't just limited to infrastructure and industry, it permeated every part of Japanese life, from the bustling cities to the quiet suburbs, and notably, into the lives of young women. By the 1970s and 1980s, more girls were attending high school and even university than ever before. This was a significant shift, as previous generations had faced societal expectations that kept them largely confined to domestic roles. With more girls in education came more opportunities for freedom and self-expression. The rigid, uniform school system, which once represented conformity, began to see subtle reinterpretations. The school uniform, once a symbol of strict discipline, became a canvas for the students themselves. Uniform skirts, which had traditionally been modest, extended well below the knee, in line with conservative ideals, began to shorten. The girls, in their youthful rebellion, rolled up their skirts, creating a new, unofficial uniform style. But this wasn't just about breaking the rules, it was about something deeper, asserting their individuality and exploring their growing freedom. These small acts of rebellion in the schoolyards of Japan were, in fact, a sign of much broader changes happening across the country. The cultural shift was fueled by influences both local and international. Japanese young people began traveling abroad more frequently, inspired by Western fashion trends. Western magazines and the rise of new media like television played pivotal roles in reshaping their views on beauty, fashion, and self-expression. As Japan entered the bubble economy era in the late 1980s, disposable income increased, and young people found themselves with more leisure time. This newfound prosperity allowed fashion to evolve rapidly, becoming not only a reflection of wealth, but also a powerful tool for personal expression and individuality. In this environment of change, the short skirt was born, a symbol of the era's spirit, a product of economic prosperity, youthful rebellion, and cultural exchange. Chapter 2. The Uniform, the Miniskirt, and Rebellio. In Japan, school uniforms are a common sight. Most girls are required to wear them often with skirts, but over time, something interesting happened. The traditional uniform skirt, which had once been long and modest, started to get shorter. Why? What was driving this change? To understand the shift, we need to look deeper into the way Japanese youth were experiencing their world during this transformative time. 2.1. Uniforms as a canvas. In Japan's school system, the uniform is an emblem of equality and conformity. Every student wears the same outfit, from the blouse to the skirt. But for many young girls, this uniformity led to a desire for self-expression. After all, when everyone looks the same, how can you stand out? The answer was simple: small alterations. By rolling up the waistband, shortening the hemline, loosening the tie, or even slouching the socks in a certain way, students began using their uniforms as a canvas. This wasn't about rejecting the uniform altogether, it was about adding a personal twist, a touch of individuality. One online poster captured it perfectly, saying, "Is greater than, uniform skirts are below the knee. Girls think that a shorter skirt makes it look like they have longer legs. Plus, they know boys like it." This small act of rebellion wasn't just about fashion, it was about asserting control over their own identity. In a society like Japan's, where conformity is highly valued, a short skirt became a quiet but meaningful statement. It was an easy way to push back against uniformity and claim a slice of personal freedom, even within the strict boundaries of school life. 2.2. The rise of Kogal, Gyaru culture. The shortening of the skirt was not an isolated trend but part of a larger cultural movement. Enter the world of Kogel and Gyaru subcultures in the 1990s, two of the most significant youth movements in Japan at the time. These subcultures embraced a style that was bold, daring, and undeniably rebellious. The term Kogel refers to high school girls who adapted their school uniforms with personal flair. They rolled the waistband higher, shortened the hemline, and accessorized with big, eye-catching items like platform boots and oversized bags. Their hair was often dyed in shades of blonde or brown, which defied the traditional black hair norm in Japanese schools. It wasn't just about looking different, it was about making a statement. The Kogel girl was not afraid to stand out, to embrace Western influences, and to challenge the traditional views of beauty and propriety. The Gyaru subculture, closely related to Kogel, expanded upon this by embracing a similarly bold, flashy style. Big hair, tan skin, and extravagant clothing. Gyaru culture took the Kogel look and turned it up a notch. As one description of Kogel fashion puts it, is greater than Kogel fashion began, as a group of Japanese schoolgirls shortening their skirts. But what began as a schoolyard rebellion soon grew into a massive cultural force. The Kogel and Gyaru movements weren't just about fashion, they were about expressing youth, independence, and a desire for change. These girls weren't just following trends, they were creating them, and in doing so, they were shaping the cultural landscape of Japan. 2.3. Iconic figures. The influence of Naomi Amuro. No discussion of 1990 seconds fashion in Japan would be complete without mentioning one of the most iconic figures of the era. Naomi Amuro, a pop sensation. Amuro became the face of a generation and, through her style, had a profound influence on the fashion trends of the time. Amuro's style was a blend of bold, Western-inspired fashion, mixed with a uniquely Japanese twist. She wore short skirts, platform boots, and sported tan skin elements that were mirrored in the Kogel and Gyaru movements. She was not just a pop star, she was a style icon. In one interview, she was even described as, "is greater than the person who looks the best in miniskirts in all of Japan." Amuro's influence was immeasurable. Her fashion choices became trends, and her style became synonymous with youth culture and rebellion. For many young women in Japan, adopting Amuro's look wasn't just about following a celebrity. It was about aligning themselves with a larger movement that embraced individuality and the freedom to express oneself. Her impact was more than just superficial. It was cultural. She showed young girls that fashion could be an extension of their identity, not just something they wore. It was about self-expression, confidence, and taking control of how they were seen by the world. In this sense, Naomi Amuro helped solidify the role of fashion as a form of rebellion, a way to challenge societal norms, and to declare, "I am here, and I am different." Together, these cultural shifts, the rebellious spirit of the Kogel girl, the boldness of the Gyaru movement, and the influence of pop icons like Naomi Amuro, helped redefine the meaning of the short skirt in Japan. It was no longer just a piece of clothing. It was a symbol of youth, freedom, and a desire to break free from tradition. The short skirt had become a sign of rebellion, a way for young Japanese women to say, "We're here, and we're making our own rules." Chapter 3. The multiple motivations behind the short skirt. Why exactly do Japanese girls wear short skirts? The answer is multifaceted, shaped by a blend of cultural, social, and commercial influences. What started as a simple change in school uniform style eventually became a symbol of identity, rebellion, and fashion. Let's dive into the various motivations behind the short skirt and why it became such a significant part of Japanese youth culture. 3.1. Leg lengthening, appearance, and attractiveness. One of the most immediate reasons girls shorten their skirts is the desire to enhance their appearance, particularly their legs. A shorter skirt creates the illusion of longer legs, which is often associated with beauty and youth. In the context of fashion and youth culture, legs become a symbol of vitality, energy, and attractiveness. A longer skirt, by contrast, can be seen as more conservative or outdated. As one online discussion on Reddit points out, is greater than, girls think that a shorter skirt makes it look like they have longer legs. Plus, they know boys like it. This insight reveals that the shorter hemline doesn't just serve a practical or aesthetic function, it's also a tool for social visibility. A short skirt becomes a clear signal of youthfulness. In a society where trends evolve rapidly, youth culture places a premium on appearance, and the short skirt became one of the easiest ways to express that youthful energy. When a young girl wears a short skirt, she is, in a sense, aligning herself with the youthful vigor and attraction that her generation values. 3.2. Youth culture and rebellion. Shortening the skirt is more than just a way to look good, it's an act of rebellion. Within the highly structured Japanese school system, students are expected to conform to strict uniform guidelines by rolling up the waistband or shortening the hemline. Students subtly challenge these rules. It's a small act of defiance that says, "I am one of you, but I am also different." This act of rebellion is particularly significant within the Kogel subculture, which emerged in the 1990s. The Kogel girls took the school uniform, a symbol of conformity, and transformed it into something personal, stylish, and visible. They rolled up the waistband, shortened the skirt, and paired it with platform boots and loose socks. This was not just about fashion, it was about making a statement, asserting their youth, and pushing back against the rigid systems around them. For the Kogel girls, the skirt became a marker of identity. It was no longer just an article of clothing. It became an expression of individuality within a sea of uniformity. It was a way to say, "I am here, I am youthful, and I am not afraid to stand out." The short skirt, therefore, became a symbol of youth culture, an emblem of youthful assertion, and a tool of rebellion. 3.3. Commercial fashion and consumer culture. As the popularity of the short skirt grew, the fashion industry quickly took notice. By the mid-1990s, youth fashion had become a booming business in Japan, and the short skirt was firmly embedded in the mainstream. Fashion magazines, advertising campaigns, and shopping malls all capitalized on the trend, further fueling its spread. The districts of Shibuya and Harajuku, known for their vibrant youth culture, became the epicenter of this fashion movement. Shops in these areas sold everything necessary to achieve the Kogel and Gyaru look: short skirts, loose socks, oversized accessories, and platform boots. The short skirt was no longer just a rebellious act, it had become a product, packaged and sold by the fashion industry. The role of commercial fashion in perpetuating the trend cannot be understated. What may have started as a spontaneous act of self-expression by a few young girls quickly became a mainstream fashion statement, reinforced by the media and the commercial market. The short skirt, once a sign of rebellion, became a commodity, a product to be bought, sold, and worn by millions. It was an example of how youth culture and consumerism intersected, with the fashion industry turning a simple act of individuality into a major commercial trend. 3.4. Cultural cross-influence. Western and Japanese mix. Finally, the short skirt in Japan cannot be fully understood without acknowledging the influence of Western fashion. In the post-war years, Japan was exposed to a wave of Western cultural imports, including fashion. The miniskirt, made famous by designers like Mary Quant in the 1960s, became a symbol of youth rebellion in Europe. In Japan, the short skirt became part of this broader global fashion movement, though with uniquely Japanese adaptations. Japan absorbed these Western influences and made them its own. The result was a fusion of Western and Japanese styles, creating a distinctive version of the short skirt that was both familiar and unique. While the miniskirt in the West symbolized women's liberation and a break from traditional modesty, the Japanese version became part of a complex cultural conversation about youth, rebellion, and identity. The short skirt in Japan is thus not merely an imitation of Western fashion, it is a Japanese iteration of a global youth fashion phenomenon, infused with local cultural meanings. The combination of Western influences and Japanese traditions created a new, hybrid style that resonated deeply with young people in Japan. Chapter 4. Putting it all together, what the short skirt means today. The story of the short skirt in Japan is far from over. After decades of cultural evolution, it continues to hold significant meaning for Japanese youth. But what does the short skirt symbolize today? And how has it evolved since its rise in the 1990s? 4.1. symbol of youth and fashion. For many young Japanese women, the short skirt remains more than just a piece of clothing. It's a badge of youth and fashion awareness. In today's world, fashion is a way of participating in a global conversation. The short skirt is less about revealing the body and more about signaling one's alignment with current style trends. Even when not worn as part of a school uniform, the short skirt carries over into street fashion, where it continues to represent youthful energy, confidence, and a sense of belonging to the ever-changing fashion culture. What was once a rebellious statement has become a mainstream symbol of modern fashion. It's a way for young women to express that they are in tune with contemporary trends, drawing on the legacy of the 1990s Kogol and Gyaru styles. The short skirt, in this context, is no longer just an act of defiance but a recognized symbol of being part of a larger cultural movement. 4.2. Institutional responses and changing norms. As the short skirt became ubiquitous in high schools, it inevitably sparked responses from educational institutions. Many schools, particularly those with a history of strict uniform codes, began to implement new guidelines to curb the trend. Some schools required longer skirts or enforced rules against rolling up waistbands. The winter uniform, once associated with modesty, also saw length changes as schools adapted to evolving norms. As noted in an article on Medium, it appears that Japanese female students no longer wear short skirts in winter as we once did. This shift highlights a tension between personal expression and institutional control. Schools, often seen as guardians of tradition, face the challenge of balancing uniformity with the desire for individuality. This struggle reflects the broader societal tension between youth culture and institutional authority. 4.3. Commercialization and subculture fallout. As the short skirt became mainstream, it also drew the attention of the media and critics. In the 1990s, the Kogol subculture, which embraced the short skirt, faced significant scrutiny. The media often associated the look with moral panic, particularly around issues such as Enjo Kosei compensated dating. What started as a fashion rebellion became a source of societal concern, as the short skirt came to symbolize not only youthful energy but also, in some eyes, the rise of consumerism, superficiality, and a disconnection from traditional values. This commercialization and the subsequent moral panic marked a turning point for the short skirt. It was no longer just a youthful fashion statement, it had become a flashpoint for debates about the role of youth culture, consumerism, and societal expectations in Japan. 4.4. Current variation and mature meanings. For an older audience, such as those in their 50s and beyond, the short skirt has evolved from a symbol of youthful rebellion into a marker of a more complex cultural shift. It's no longer just about fashion, it's about the evolution of female identity in Japan. The short skirt, once a visible sign of defiance, has now become a symbol of how youth culture has transformed over the decades. While skirt lengths have indeed lengthened in many schools, the roots of the short skirt remain firmly planted in the 1990s and 2000s. It remains iconic of that era's youth culture, daring, expressive, and transitional. Today, the short skirt carries with it a sense of nostalgia for a time when fashion was a tool for rebellion and self-expression. For the current generation, it is a piece of history, a reminder of how fashion can shape culture and reflect the changing attitudes toward youth, freedom, and identity. As such, the short skirt is a garment that has come full circle, evolving from an act of rebellion to a mainstream fashion statement, and now, to a reflection of a changing cultural landscape. For older generations, it stands as a testament to how much the world has shifted, and how fashion continues to be an enduring symbol of both personal identity and social change. Chapter 5. A personal story. A mirror and the short skirt. Let's imagine a story that brings the essence of the short skirt to life, one that reflects real-life experiences and captures the spirit of rebellion and self-expression that marked a generation. In 1994, Tokyo was buzzing with energy. The streets of Shibuya were a blend of neon lights and young people, all caught up in the whirlwind of fashion and music that defined the era. Among them was a 17-year-old high school girl named Yumi, a pseudonym. She lived in this vibrant district, immersed in the fast-paced world of Tokyo, where trends changed as quickly as the trains that passed through Shibuya Station. Yumi was a fan of Nami Amuro, Japan's pop sensation, whose stylish, rebellious look captivated young girls all over the country. Amuro, with her mini-skirts, platform boots, and tanned skin, was more than just a pop star. She was a style icon, embodying the very spirit of youth culture. Yumi watched her perform on TV, admiring how effortlessly Amuro seemed to command attention with her bold fashion choices. It wasn't just about the clothes, it was about being noticed, being youthful, and being part of something bigger. Inspired by Amuro, Yumi decided to transform her school uniform. She pushed up the waistband of her skirt, shortening the hemline slightly, and wore her loose socks with pride. Her classmates took notice. Some admired her boldness, others criticized her for breaking the rules. But for Yumi, it wasn't just about looking good. It was about making a statement. It was about being seen and asserting her place in the world of youth culture. To complete her look, Yumi went shopping at Shibuya 109, a mecca for youth fashion. There, she bought a charm for her bag, a small yet significant accessory that marked her membership in the Kogo culture. The Kogo look wasn't just about the uniform. It was about adopting a whole lifestyle. Soon, Yumi and her friends were spending weekends taking photos in Porikura booths, popular photo sticker machines that allowed them to capture their youthful expressions and memories. But as Yumi embraced her new style, her parents grew concerned. They had seen the media stories about compensated dating and the moral panic surrounding youth fashion at the time. Her school didn't help matters, issuing warnings about the dangers of deviating from the uniform code. Despite this pressure, Yumi and her friends held on to their fashion choices. To them, it wasn't about rebellion for the sake of rebellion, it was about freedom. The short skirt was their way of claiming ownership over their identity, of saying that they were part of a cultural moment. As time passed, Yumi went to university and eventually entered the workforce. The Kogo look faded as she grew older, but the memories of those high school years remained. One day, years later, Yumi was sitting with her daughter, reminiscing about her teenage years. With a laugh, she recalled, "Yes, we rolled our skirts, we dyed our hair, and we walked Shibuya at night." What had started as a simple tweak to her school uniform had become a defining moment in her life, a part of her identity that still resonated even in her adult years. The short skirt, for Yumi, was more than just a fashion choice. It was a symbol of youth, a marker of her place in the world, and a memory she would carry with her forever. So, why do Japanese girls wear short skirts? It is not simply a matter of fashion or impracticality. It is a window into youth identity, culture, rebellion, consumerism, and social change in post-war Japan. From the schoolgirl rolling her uniform waistband, to the Kogo of Shibuya, to the pop star Nami Amuro setting style trends, each thread leads us deeper. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.